At last the final air raid siren sounds over Birmingham and the rest of Britain. The war was finally over. A nation ravaged by years of enemy bombing began to pick up the pieces. Hostilities had ended just months before when, in 1946, our story begins. The post-war Labour government of Clement Attlee had swept to power the previous year, and the welfare state was born. Like other great cities, Birmingham had suffered badly at the hands of the Luftwaffe, with thousands made homeless. Older people were especially vulnerable at this time, so the need was to act now. The spring of 1946 saw welfare workers and other concerned citizens joining forces with the Mayor of Birmingham. They took action by forming a new charitable initiative, BCOP, dedicated to broadening choices for older people. Thanks to impressive fundraising, within a year they had several desperately needed homes. Now that petrol rationing was beginning to loosen its grip on war-weary civilians, holidays were the order of the day. BCOP and its volunteers took coachloads away, and through a generous benefactor, the charity even acquired its own coach, known affectionately as Polly. In 1951, when the young Princess Elizabeth visited the Midlands, she was to see this pioneering work first-hand as she opened the Women's Festival exhibition. During the war years, with the men away fighting at the front, it had been the women who kept the wheels of industry turning. The charmingly named Old Folks at Home Fair was held as part of this festival for Britain, bringing together dozens of women's organisations, all eager to raise as much money as possible. Here we see Mary Wilson, wife of the then Prime Minister Harold, at the opening of the Autumn Fair in 1969. BCOP managed to raise enough money at the 1951 event to push ahead with refurbishing the large, recently acquired Bromford House in Erdington, and they opened their first nursing home, Raymond Priestley House. Years later, the original property was replaced by a purpose-built nursing home, meeting the highest standards of the time. When the Birmingham Weekly Post Women's Guild donated the latest in 1953 television sets to the original nursing home, one resident certainly looked rather pleased. Meals on Wheels was another of BCOP's pioneering services. It started in 1961 in partnership with the Women's Royal Voluntary Service. Thanks to the generosity of the famous Cadbury family, a property called Tennessee in Moseley was acquired in 1972, and it too became a base for Meals on Wheels. Its large kitchen now provides meals for residents of this extra care sheltered housing scheme. Started as an experiment in 1955, BCOP's day centres helped avoid isolation and provide a nutritious cooked meal. As well as socialising, there were all manner of activities, like this dressmaking class at the Over 60s Club in Northfield in 1968. This is Oneley House in Harborne, purpose-built in 1973 and another of the Over 60s clubs at the time. It too was a base for Meals on Wheels. In yet another of its pioneering roles, BCOP incorporated respite care facilities in this new building. Much needed by families looking after an older relative, the scheme had 7 ensuite rooms on the first floor, with resident staff. More recently, the building became the Oneley Centre through a partnership with the Institute of Aging and Health. It provides not only the traditional day centre function, but also a host of other opportunities, like keeping fit and active. With their emphasis on healthcare, BCOP's nursing homes are at the core of this work. This is Neville Williams House in Selly Park, or at least how it looks today. Back in 1962, the first phase of building work had been completed, providing a nursing home for 18 residents. Then, in 1969, a further extension was completed and opened by the MP Jill Knight, seen here at the event. Ongoing modernisation of schemes ensures that the needs and expectations of residents and their families are achieved. Even today, Neville Williams House has had the builders in. This new 12-bed dementia care unit enhances the facilities even further, thanks to a major fundraising drive in 2008. Promoting good mental and physical health for nursing home residents takes many forms. Here, for example, we see how specially designed sensory equipment can provide vital stimulation. The new, specially designed sensory garden at Neville Williams House will also provide highly therapeutic sensory stimulation for people experiencing dementia. And talking about stimulation, here's the new pet farm at Neville Williams House. For many older people with dementia, this affectionate contact with animals has countered the negative effects of withdrawal from social interaction. BCOP also introduced a computer skills training course for residents of its sheltered housing. After all, you're never too old to learn. Talking of training, BCOP not only provides training services for its own staff, but also for personnel from other organisations working in related fields. For older members of the wider community, there's the award-winning Handyperson service, providing subsidised repairs in and around the home, and there's also BCOP's charitable services, giving urgent grant aid in a crisis situation. BCOP will go on broadening choices for older people, just as it has for over half a century. It all started with a group of ordinary people who just wanted to change things for someone else, someone more vulnerable than themselves. We can all help to broaden someone's choices. Will you?